In today's episode, I am joined by Whitney Woodcock.
I teach women all about crypto investing.
Well, isn't that just the secret to life right there? We dove into her journey as an entrepreneur, going from an engineer to investing in crypto.
You can be someone who just buys Bitcoin and accumulates and holds. Investing is a game of making decisions. And if you can't make a good decision, it's often what other information do I need or what do I need to do for myself so I can get to a point of like clean yes or no.
All of her expertise from business to crypto and everything in between. Embodied CEOs don't chase trends. They pave the way. They lead from within, moved by purpose, unshaken by noise. When you are the source, you do not need permission. All right, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited.
Thanks for having me, Emily.
Yeah, I'm excited to drop in with you. We have had several conversations, but I feel like haven't gotten to go deep in the times we've met in Austin, so I can't wait.
Yeah.
I'd love to start with about you. Tell everyone a little bit about you, wherever you feel like is relevant to dive into your story and what you do.
Okay, cool. So first off, hi, I'm Whitney. Right now I have a company called Queen of Millions, and I teach women all about crypto investing. Which is really cool because there's not many like safe havens and spaces for women in crypto, let alone being like, let's understand what's going on in the world macroeconomically, like the power shift dynamics that are going on, the wealth dynamics. Like women just really have this hunger of like, it's like, especially once you've made it at a certain point in your life of being like, I want to understand where the world is shifting to financially and front run it and be ahead of that changing times. So anyways, that's the Queen of Millions space. We have right now 235 ladies ish, all around the globe. So we have like 20 different countries represented. And it's just been like it's been so fun for me to teach this and to be able to build the company and just the movement behind it. It's just been this amazing buzz behind it. So anyways, that's what I do. I really got into this because I wanted freedom for myself. I come from a background of being an engineer, lived a very, very normal life. And like you've seen on just like socials for me of just like, I travel a ton and like, that's my norm, but like, that wasn't my norm for so long. And like, I did the corporate life for 3.5 years, like until I was like, I got to this point where I was like, I just need to build freedom. So the crypto path has been freedom for me. And that's usually why most people come into my world.
So how'd you decide, like, I just need to build freedom and then got into crypto? What was that like?
Oh my God, that journey. Okay. So, I just knew freedom in my mind. There were a whole bundle of things when I was like in the corporate world that I just felt like my body was just telling me no. Like a lot of things I was doing just kept being like, no. I was a really big endurance athlete. So triathlons were huge for me, half marathons. Like I was training for half Ironman. I basically like broke my body because I overtrained myself on that way. And then started to go down a little bit more spiritual awakening path, yoga, meditation, did plenty of plant medicine ceremonies. To basically get to the point of like trusting my intuition, but trusting in it's safe for me to go a different path in life than what has been paved out for me. I come from being the oldest of 3 girls. So just like all that pressure and responsibility to be like, it's safe to go. Like that was really what came from that. And so what brought me into crypto was really breaking away from all the things that I thought I had to do and thought I had to be, of like the stability, the consistency, the like blah, blah, blah. All of that felt very boring to me. And instead I said, I left a 5-year partnership. I left a mentorship. I left the engineering career and pathway. I left the US. This was all like right within 6 months, end of 2019 to beginning of 2020, left all of that. And 5 days after leaving my career, my engineering world, I hopped on a plane over to Bali and I was like, I don't know what's going to come of this, but I'm going to figure it out. I was planning on being there for 5 weeks. Long story short, I ended up staying for 2.5 years. And when I was in Bali, that was the first place that I met a guy who ended up speaking to me about crypto and about the financial world in a way that I was like, oh, this is the future edge. Why have I never paid attention to this? That I was like, I'm going to go down this pathway. I'm going to pull out my retirement fund. I'm going to like learn how to manage that. I'm going to bet on myself. So there was a lot of just, I want freedom. I don't know what path this is going to take for me. I actually really wanted the entrepreneurship all the way through, but I knew I didn't have the skill set. So I was like, let me focus on the freedom, aka through the money vehicle, and I'll figure this out.
And how long ago was this?
So that was 2020.
Okay.
January 2020 was when I met him first. That first seed was planted in. By March 2020, I was like full bought in for myself of like crypto's the pathway for me, financial literacy. And then for me over that next 9 months to a year, that was when I watched my portfolio grow by 22x. So 25K turned into over $500,000. And I was like, okay, so I bet on myself and I won. Okay, cool. This stuff is real. The patterns are right. Great, great, great.
That is so incredible. I love pulling out like themes of success. And I think one of them is this mentality of like, bet on yourself. Don't really have the plan because how can you? You don't know what you're doing, right? Just the next step and then the next step and then the next step leads to then where you end up today. But I always want to pull that out for people because I think that there's a lot of people that are like, I need the whole plan. I need the A to Z. I need, I'm going to be in this position. I want to create the freedom. So I need the whole business plan and all the steps in it. I swear I've never seen success created like that. It's always like the beginning is the fuck around and find out.
Yes. Yes.
And then you can start to get intentional with what you're doing. But you did that. And like even willing to take the risks of pull out from my retirement. I mean, you took huge risks, leaving like stable career, the country, everything you knew. And I also feel like when you are younger, that's the time to do it, where we're like backwards in society. We're like, I'll do all this and then I'll wait for my retirement to like have fun and go and like live life. And I'm like, I think it should be the opposite because you have less to lose when you're 20. I don't know how old you were that long ago, but you have so much less to lose in the beginning and you can't really mess it up if you have that mentality.
No. And like for context, age wise, I was 26, I think, when I left that. I'm 31 now.
We're like the same age.
Yeah. And so it's just, it was like really the perfect timing. And I felt that for myself of like, I'm nervous and I'm scared. And actually when I got into Bali, one of the great things I did is I put myself on this, I called it a curiosity challenge. And I would particularly find those moments and those edges for me that like really made me nervous. Like there was a big thing around just like, honestly, with like human touch and intimacy of different levels. So I tried to break that barrier with contact dance. And it was little things like that where I would just do these micro curiosity challenges every single day. There was shyness I had around speaking to people. Actually, the man that I ended up meeting who became my crypto mentor, it was because I walked in one day, the first meal that I was eating alone, and I was like, oh, your food looks beautiful. And he's like, why don't you sit down and join me?
Wow.
And so it was like all of these little things of like every single step was like riding my edges of discomfort and then just receiving the invitation of the next step and then just being present with what showed up there.
Well, isn't that just the secret to life right there? Literally, I'm like, we should still be doing that every day.
Every day.
How'd you learn? Like, did someone tell you to like as an idea the curiosity challenge, or you made that
No,
up?
I just made that up.
That's so cool. Do you still do it?
Yeah. It doesn't feel like it doesn't have to be conscious now. It's just
right.
It's there, and there's so much fun now with me just being like, let's lean into what's alive.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's so important to go the things that I'm nervous and uncomfortable about to like a daily practice of forcing yourself to do those things or leaning into those things because it can become so easy to stay in what we're comfortable in and what feels easy and natural. But there's so much growth in leaning into those. It's even making me think like, how could I do that? Because I think even also when you grow, I've experienced where you have to embrace a lot of discomfort in the beginning because it's all new. Then you create this success and you kind of lose that energy of the discomfort and the newness and the like challenges because you're like, I'm good. Like I've created the success. And then you go on this like autopilot, but you lose that energy that you have in the beginning. And I've had to like want to bring that back like for the next levels in business and in life of like, where is the discomfort and those edges so I can have that energy again. So that's fun. I love that. And then surrendering to what happens. I mean, that's the unknown. If that's where all the magic is.
Yeah. The greatest fuel behind the scenes that I think I was more unconscious and not aware of was the inner self-trust that I was building all the way through. So like the curiosity challenges, the jumps, the like I'm leaning into all these things, whatever, I'm building it. I didn't realize the fuel for me was really like, I want to build my confidence. Confidence for me has been a lifetime's work. And it's not even just confidence, but it's really like, I got me. I have this deep, unwavering self-trust in myself that this level that I'm at right now feels uncomfortable, but I need to build this up so that I know that next level, level 77, like I got myself all the way through and there was a reason that all these things were for me. So for me, crypto being the most volatile financial market, that intuition really needed to be checked in, but it needed to come from self-trust. And same thing with just the entrepreneurial space as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's huge, because having that self-trust and that confidence in yourself making the decision, or knowing, which path is everything. So tell me about the business kind of journey. You started probably just investing your money that you pulled out, and then you learned how to do it that way, and now you've created this community and you teach people. Tell me a little bit about that journey.
Yeah. So for me in the crypto world, even when I watched the 22x and the exponential growth happen, I realized on the other side, I was trying to go around and find women in crypto, and I couldn't find that. And so the big problem and disconnect for me was like, I know that I don't want to get wealthy alone. We want to grow together. But also there's a beautiful thing that when people come together, women come together, which I know we like to hide in the backgrounds, that it was just like one of those things that I was like, this is an obvious need. I'm not alone in this. There's just actually not a space for it. So it became that was a very obvious thing and problem for me. And I knew that I wasn't alone in it, which is where the business came out from it, of just being like, this has to be community. I know that I'm naturally a teacher. I'm obsessed with this stuff. I won't shut up about it. I kind of always took on the like crypto girl energy. I was just like, yeah, die hard. Like, I'm into this. And I had no shame around it. So it was one of those things that I just literally could not shut up about. So just kept doing my thing and the community came on out. The whole movement, Queen of Millions, the whole company was just very intuitively led. Like throughout my entire story, it will say that, because like so much of not only the crypto world, but also like building this business has been not of like what I really want. It's really been like, this is a desire. Let me listen to it. And like, it has always felt like an egg that has been like birthing to the world. And I've really let it just like, it's been a birthing process for me. So right now, the company we have, it's been fun of just seeing the evolution where like I've been so in it, and now I've been able to extract myself away from a lot of roles. Now I have 5 different team members. Branding wise, like community culture wise, we're so on brand and tapped into it. I really only hire within the community. And I swear we're just having the time of I'm having the time of my lives. Like the ladies are having the time of our lives, and we're just like, we're really just getting started here right now.
Yeah, that's one thing that stands out in your content, and every time I've met you, is the passion behind what you're doing and the energy behind it of like, yeah, I can't stop talking about it. I love it. Like that comes through in your content, and that's how you create a movement, is you really have this bigger mission, this bigger purpose of what you're doing, and then the details evolve around what the offer is and those components. But I think you really have had that foundation from the beginning of like, this is the movement, this is the mission, this is the passion, and everything else is going to fall into place as we go. And I've watched that unfold, and it's created success for you.
Yeah. So getting into that, the like pieces I think that were kind of the hardest for me with that, really for nurturing the vision and that such, it was really going back to like, this is energy first. This like really feels like a soul expression for me. There was one book, if anyone is at the beginning of their journey or like wanting to relate to this, what do you do with an idea? It's a children's book. And I was obsessed with this book 2 years before Queen of Millions ever birthed. Like I did a year nomadic, traveling all around the world. And it was the one thing that I kept inside of my suitcase and like read it routinely to myself.
That's so cute.
Yeah. And this children's book is about.
I got to get that for my kids.
Yeah, you do.
100%.
Oh, they would totally love it. Yeah. Oh my God, your kids for sure.
Yeah.
But it's like this golden egg, and it's like, what do you do with an idea? Like at some points it makes you like terrified, and it follows you around, and it haunts you, and people tell you you're crazy for it. And then eventually your idea just wants to become your friend. And so I just kind of like kept sitting all that year when I was nomadic with like, what is the thing that's really sitting on my heartstrings? And it just kept going back to community, women. Like, honestly, I did not want to teach about crypto. Like, really, honestly, there was periods that I just kept pushing that idea away, crypto. But I just kept being like, I'm just going to sit with what the idea is and keep on bringing these things back into my heart. So the crypto came back into my world quite easily, but it's been a process of constantly being like, I'm not forcing, especially in a world of like the like crypto bro, but like marketing bro or like entrepreneurial bro of like forcing things out into the world. I've always felt like, no, that's not my path. I'm going to be very persistent and very lovingly persistent with my ideas, but I do have to give them space to unfold for me.
Yeah. Why were you resistant to crypto back then?
Oh my God. I really did not want to talk about my relationship to money. So when exponential growth hit for me, and I find a lot of other people, especially in the crypto world, experience this, like it was beyond my wildest dreams. Like I expected, it was in my mind that it could go from 25K to 100K. It was not my mind that 25K could go to 500,000. Like so not there. And so there were things that came up were like around taxes. There were things that came up around like who I became or certain decisions. Like there was this, like, I felt so out of control. I wasn't really out of control, but it was just an inner sensation that I felt like I had shame around certain areas of money that I was like, oh, who am I the one to be able to speak about this now? And it was also like, who am I? I am like, I've walked enough to be able to do this. And also like, I now just get to get a lot more deeper with the patterns, details, and be able to lead from this way as well.
And so how'd you work through that? What was that process like?
Honestly, a lot of friends. Oh, like I was just really real. This is where I'm like, it's great just being like, I am actively going to work through these things and I will go find those people and befriend the people that are in my court and that are on my side. So a lot of it was like just being real with the people in my world of like, I'm going through this and just allowing myself to receive support or to be seen. And then also just to really take the actions of what I needed. And learning more.
Yeah. And just like proving it to yourself through starting to teach it and the journey that you've been on. Yeah.
Yeah. And there was plenty of like imposter syndrome that came up at the beginning forth, but it was always a reminder of like, I am here and I'm able to teach certain levels. Obviously I can't teach the whole thing. And like anyone who claims that they can, especially in the crypto world, like I am questioning you. But I'm like, can I help people out on the journey? Absolutely. So it was a constant, just I'll keep on moving forward and I'll keep on building out my layers of confidence and self-trust and I can lead from there. And when I hit a certain level I can't teach, then obviously I'm just transparent that I've only gotten this far.
Yeah. So with crypto, obviously there's been like different seasons of it in the last however many years. And I'm sure you get a lot of, especially like outsider people going, oh, crypto, and their opinions on it. And you have had to build this stability of like what you're doing and it's real and it's a real movement and real impact. But yeah, I mean, speaking to that of like, how have you handled the different opinions, the journey of being in an industry that there is so many opinions and thoughts around it?
I love, so in my community, I found a lot of women, we collectively shared this, and I'm very real with this, of like being a woman in a financial industry, but also a very male dominated industry. That has been probably the biggest friction for me. It's not necessarily about the outsiders because I have a very strong conviction around crypto. And like, I usually just diffuse those like opposite thoughts with like a simple curiosity question to be like, what do you really think value is? Like, and then they simply understand. There's just lack of education. So it's usually not from outsiders that over the years, like that I felt resistance towards, but instead it was usually from men within the crypto industry or within the financial world trying to tell me otherwise. And so that's been kind of like the greatest learning curve for me of just being a woman, experiencing myself stepping into more of my power of like, I'm doing it this way. I see what game they're playing. I see what game I'm playing, and just really owning that the differences. Especially when like, I think when, whether it's men or whether it's people in the financial world have their way about like, this is the way. And when they can feel really confident, it can feel very easy for someone who doesn't feel confident to be like, they know the way. And so a lot of my work has been to be like, lovingly own my own journey, but also where others are at to be like, no, actually all of it's perfect and fine. I actually, as a woman, don't need to actually feel as charged to the men. It's not really about that. It's just me building up a certain level of confidence to be like, we're all good to exist. And this is the way it is.
I love that. And I feel like that's very much in your brand, like the powerful woman in crypto, but not to necessarily like take others down and be like, they're doing it wrong, or the men, don't understand this, but just owning the power and like standing in that is, I feel that in your content and in your brand too.
Yeah.
So for somebody, let's talk a little bit about crypto and your expertise, like somebody starting out or interested in it now. I know it's like kind of a little late, right? To start out. I don't know. I honestly am not a crypto expert at all. So I'll learn from you, but tell us, like, what would you be telling your community right now in terms of crypto and what you should be doing?
Yeah. So first off, I wouldn't say, I think a lot of people think that they're late. I don't think we're late. We're really just getting started with the greatest wealth transfer, where we can see even like over the years, like the narrative has changed where people are like, now they're like speaking freely about crypto on the news headlines. We can now see institutions flooding millions and billions of dollars in. There's been this like tipping point in adoption that we've been waiting for in the crypto world. So this is where we're really at the beginning tipping point, where I think that a lot of the financial institutions will be upgrading their space. So if someone's feeling the call, it's like, it's never too late. Instead, I like to see crypto as like the technology adoption curve, just like the internet. It's like there are certain times and you can start adopting this at any point in your journey. How you adopt it is the next question though.
Right.
So I'm like, I can teach all about the like welcome you in, like why, all that stuff. But the next layer to it is, once you understand like what is, the next question is, what strategy do you want to have for yourself? What's your lifestyle? What are you available for? How much do you want to learn? How involved do you want to be in this process? And so you can invest in things that are a lot more safe, that have a lot more adoption in the crypto space. Or you can go in the deeper weeds and take higher risk plays too. But that's why I say first get your foundation, and then like your strategy and your game plan is a must. And I find a lot of people just don't even have that on their awareness, but I'm like, how you play the game.
And what are the options of like for someone that's really doesn't get it? Like what are the options of how you play it? How does that look?
So you can be someone who just buys Bitcoin and accumulates and holds. Super safe, super great. I like to see Bitcoin digital gold. And I think that's a really great gameplay for a lot of people. Some people are buying it with their retirement funds. Now you can do that. Some people are buying ETFs. Some people are buying straight up the real Bitcoin and the real coins. So that's one way. You could then get a little further down the risk curve and buy things more like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, things that have really strong adoption, things that have really strong institutional narratives behind it. That's still pretty safe in my mind. Or you can do a blended game. And I like to play more in the altcoin space, more in like alternative, like upcoming technologies, or just the smaller coins that have the ability to pump faster. And I like to do a little blended approach to that of like, you can have all these other things, but do this. So it really just goes back to like, what are your financial goals? And then how much time do you have to be able to put in?
Because if you do that, you have to do research. Like if you're going the route, the third option you said of the altcoins, you're having to research and decide where to put it. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah. And then just timelines are a little bit different. So it's like, you have to, of course, put some time in if you want to get more financial gains. So you do have to start like babysitting and peeling certain profits off and that type of stuff. And it's not like full on like day trading and that type of stuff. I think that's where a lot of people just get that misconception around it. But it's really just being able to approach it from a way of being like, how do I, if I'm like a lifelong learner and a researcher and I want to know these things, how do I just time my season right so that I accumulate when prices are low before we rise up?
And then where do you see the whole industry going in the financial industry? You're saying the greatest wealth transfer. Tell me what you mean when you say that.
Yeah. So I think the existing financial system being like very on fiat, I think one great thing, talk about self-trust, but talk about just like trust as a currency in the world. So like question for you, like what is the US dollar backed by? Like what do you think it's backed by?
Gold? Is it?
Back in 1971, we hopped off the gold standard.
What's it backed by?
Just the trust in the US government.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
So like
they print the money.
Yeah. And so like, this is where I even like to say it's like, so the US dollar is the global reserve of the world. And so what that means is like people who want to do trades like with oil, China to Russia, like they have to have US dollars to be able to make that trade happen. Mm-hmm. So there's a natural demand and there's a natural trust in the world that the US dollar has demand and has value in the world because the entire globe needs to denominate with it. Fundamentally, it kind of goes back to like, it's a proof of force currency because it goes back to like the US military, like the US has their respect anyways, the whole 9 yards. So fascinating things of just seeing like trust in the US dollar goes back to we trust in the US government.
Which we don't really right now.
Yeah. So that was my next question is like, do you trust less or more?
Absolutely not. Yeah.
And with like all the inflation and printing of dollars that happened back during COVID times, I wouldn't be surprised if we see more of that coming up. There's just some economic things that need to happen in the world. So anyways, the US dollar is not perfect by any means. We have a huge debt problem. We have inflation, all this stuff. And so I see the world as like we're shifting into the automation era, and like everything has been upgraded little bit by little bit. We're seeing this even with AI now. Yet the US dollar and the fiat systems have not been upgraded. So the blockchain is what crypto is fundamentally operating on, and that just automates a lot of the accounting systems, how things work, transfers. Like you can't turn crypto off, unlike the banking system, which is only open 9 through 5. So crypto, where I'm like seeing the shift that will probably happen, is we'll probably see digital dollars of some sort. We'll see just like the financial system has to be upgraded onto the blockchain. There's a lot of things that will have to go on behind the scenes, and we'll see exactly how it lays out. But I think that we'll start to see some changes over the next definitely few years. And we've already seen that with regulation this past year has been upgrading to match that.
And so will the US dollar be gone one day?
And
it will be the digital currencies?
It could be. We'll have to see.
Do you have like an opinion on that?
No, not really.
No, you don't know.
At the end of the day, I look at what's the adoption of certain coins. So like for right now, like this is where I'm like, Bitcoin is truly a no-brainer. Ethereum, Solana have also been adopted this way. XRP is one that people have a lot of rumors around this being something more tied into the governmental level. So I really look at adoption of like who's adopting this, how will this be implemented in, what's the utility behind it, who's backing it, that type of stuff. So we'll see what actually happens with the US dollar. But either way, the governments are all proving that they're trying to, like, between the governments, between companies, institutions, they're putting things like Bitcoin and Ethereum on their sheets, which just goes into demand for it.
Yeah. What would you say are like the biggest misconceptions and mistakes let's do misconceptions. What are the biggest misconceptions people have around Bitcoin? Like me, and I'm not very knowledgeable about it.
Well, with Bitcoin at this point, a lot of people,
or in general,
with all crypto,
yeah,
one of the greatest misconceptions is that volatility is a bad thing. And yes, things go up and down fast, but that's also part of like the rate of adoption. So I don't see volatility as a bug, but instead of a feature. So it's like you obviously want price to go up. So if you're in something early, that's how volatility can be on your side.
And crypto's a lot more volatile than like a lot of the stock market.
Yes.
So it's different for people. That's where I think that they get so scared, I'm sure.
Yes. And then another piece is a lot of people don't see the difference of centralization versus decentralization. So centralization is like one company or entity or individuals have power over the entire thing. The US dollar is that way. The US government has control over the whole US dollar. Crypto is more of the decentralized movement. I think we're moving very much into a world in a future where it's more network-based, it's more collaborative. I mean, we can see this in the entrepreneurial space for sure. It's just like you see how important your whole network is and who you're with. But I think the whole world collectively is going through an upgrade, like consciousness-wise, energy-wise, where we're shifting more into decentralized ways. And I think a lot of people miss this and see that the dollars need to be upgraded as well.
Yeah. And then what are some of the top mistakes, like someone who's just getting started, like people in your community that you feel like you're coaching on a lot?
Mistakes really go back to like I was saying with the strategy, it's like you really skip over this and it's like, or they skip over education. And then they're just asking, what do we buy? And it's a little bit more frantic energy. And fundamentally, I'm like, if we can have a strong foundation, it's just like a house or education, it's a foundation. Go back there. And then from there, we can build upon it. So that really helps regulate people's nervous systems more so that they can make stronger decisions and fundamentally just see that like investing is a game of making decisions. And if you can't make a good decision, it's often what other information do I need or what do I need to do for myself so I can get to a point of like clean yes or no.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like in marketing, it's like your foundation, your messaging, your offer. Nobody wants that. They want the leads and the sales and they want to skip over that. It's the same thing. I'm sure the biggest question you get asked is like, what do I buy? You know,
totally.
What do I buy right now today? And you're like, okay, yes. And look at your foundation, look at your strategy, and let that dictate what you buy, is what you're saying.
Yeah. And I also am big on like investing based off of my values. So I'll invest in things that are more in the decentralized world. So DeFi, decentralized finance, I love because energy is money. And what I do with my energy, my money, is also a reflection of me. So I do heavily invest in certain things that I ethically agree with as well. And that's where I just really am clean on like what's centralized, how much centralization am I okay with, and what are certain people's agendas within certain coins.
Yeah, I love that. I know that you said you had like spiritual awakening and have gone down that path, and then this seems like a good, energy is money, and you operate that way. Tell me a little bit about that journey and how that plays a part in your business and your life today.
Which part?
Just the spiritual side, the intuition and the energy.
Yeah. I was, just like even religious wise, I was raised not religious, very agnostic and more spiritually leaning, but had no idea. And so in my journey, when I left the engineering world, it was a series, it was like a year of like ayahuasca ceremonies. It was 13 of them, which was absolutely insane to be doing while I was in the corporate world. That was a season and era. Yeah, I know.
Once a month ayahuasca.
It was like,
or more.
Yeah, it would be like once a quarter. There was like 3 or 4 ceremonies.
Wow.
It was insane. And then I would go back to the corporate world.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyways, that was a chapter that served me, and I'm like, we're good.
Yeah.
But in that process, it really helped me see and feel and connect more back to what I really want for myself, and seeing the separation from society, family conditioning, all that such, to be able to then be like, no, I actually really desire these things, and I can go after these goals. And like, this is my one life that I get to create with. And I feel so connected to not only myself, but like everyone in my life. So how do I make this life as like fun and in alignment with me as possible?
And what does your, like, do you do meditation practice? What does it look like today to keep that connection for you?
Meditation, yes. And then honestly, running and walking movement is a really great thing for me. Over the years too, I used to and still do channel the Akashic records. So for me, that's like the record hall that lives up in the universe, and basically it's like you can tune into. But either way, I use different practices just to tap into what source and what truth feels like to me. And yeah, just for me, spaciousness is what I need most of.
Yeah. Yeah. I know you bring that into your content a little bit sometimes too, I feel like, of what you're doing on an everyday basis to have that connection to yourself. And I see your stories a lot around those things. Yeah. So on the business growing journey, you started out in investing your money, creating that success, then creating your movement, and then you said growing your team. What has that journey been like of growing a business? You said you always wanted to be an entrepreneur. That was always the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
after you decided to leave,
it was always the desire.
Yeah.
It wasn't, desire. I had no idea how it was going to bring me back to it.
Yeah.
But it was always a desire. I love people. I love people in my world. I love building community. I'm really close with my family. So for me, also like a company, now that I've built this thing, I'm like, oh, this is the thing that has always made sense. But I didn't realize that all the way through.
Yeah, because you were separating community and a company, and you've blended it now. So what does that look like starting out on your own? Like, did you start with this membership offer, or did you go through iterations to get there? What was that journey like?
Iterations. So I was teaching a Crypto 101 program. It started off at 12 weeks, and then 4 weeks, and then 5 weeks. And now that's an evergreen product that basically anyone who's inside of Queen of Millions gets, and they basically binge it right away. So I started off with Crypto 101. That was really fun. But then also like the constant launching is just a different thing. And I realized when I would teach Crypto 101, I was like, this is great that I'm helping them in, but it's also not helpful because they actually really need market research. And they need to take crypto into their world and really like train their mind as to what's going on in real time. So the community was something that I personally resisted for a while, mostly because I had my own, like when I was nomadic for so long and all these things, it was like, I was slowly letting responsibilities into my world. And I was like, I don't want to be committed to these things.
Yeah, the commitment.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, like it was the only thing I wanted. I was just like nervous of more responsibility, how I would show up as a leader. Like, can I do it? Very intimidated of being a woman in a crypto bros world. I was really nervous of what men would say. I only got success, validation, support, cheerleading from them. But I was so nervous in my mind that I was like, oh, this is like a huge edge for me.
Why? Because you were just like one of the only ones, or what? Where did that come from?
I was one of the only ones. Yeah, kind of, sort of. Honestly, women in the crypto world are very sexualized. So there was a huge part of me being like, can you be both beauty and brains? Or can I be beauty, brain, spiritual, all of it? Or are they just going to clump me in the she's spiritual and woo? And it's like, no, I use data. I'm an engineer. Like, I like these things. So there was just a lot of inner things that I'd worked through on that end. But the best way of doing that was just to be like, let's just step up and just show that I'm multifaceted.
Yeah, which you've totally done that in your brand. So you then started the membership. How long ago did the Queen of Millions start?
It was like May 5th. There we go.
Of last year?
Yes.
No.
Yeah,
okay, so
year.
it's recent.
Yeah.
What was the, like, you just finally were like, okay, we're going to create the community, like go from the launching of the digital course to build
Yeah. So once people would make it through the Crypto 101, they would just love it. Yeah, they would love it. They would want more. And so I was like, all right, got to pull my big girl pants on. Like, let's just do this thing.
Yeah.
And sure enough, and I was like, would anyone want to join in? And sure enough, you build the thing and then people come.
Yep.
So the first 6 months, maybe. Yeah. 6 months. I got my first 0 to 10 and then 0 to 20 and then 0 to 30. And we stayed at under 30 for a while. And then it wasn't until the crypto market started to move, and then everyone was like, we want in. And from October to, no, even less than that, it was December 24. So it was after the election, because there was a lot of momentum that happened when Trump came into the office. But anyways, it was after the election, November to January, we grew from 30 ladies to 200.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was my big testing point, my big growing point of experiencing exponential growth within the community, and then actually feeling tap out of or not tap out, but just really overwhelm. So many problems came up.
Right. That's huge growth fast. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk through that. So is that when you started bringing on team members?
Yes. It was a need.
Yeah.
Total need.
Yeah. And what has that process been like?
It's actually been really great.
So you hire from within your community, basically.
Yeah. I like to say I'm pretty good at manifesting great humans and the humans I need. And all that goes back to, once again, self-trust. So I just trusted in myself that I was I'm going through these things, but I have the right people in my world to support me and get me to the next level. And so I started off by hiring, focusing really on the product, because obviously I wasn't really worried about sales. I had a really great, the reason that we exploded so much is because of the crypto market, but also I had a really great marketing partnership. It was like a sister audience match, a really great lookalike audience. That was a marketing gal, and she came into here and she believed and saw everything in the crypto space. And she was like, yes, this is awesome. So we did a really great partnership, obviously really successful. And then I started hiring in my tech team. So these are ladies to help support in the tech community, in the community, and nurture the ladies, and not nurture, but answer tech questions, which was really sweet because I was able to create jobs for women in the crypto space. I now have 2 of those ladies. And then once we really exploded too, I then got to the point where I was like, I need to hire a research team. So
nice. Yeah. To stay on top of what you're teaching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And condense my time so I can focus a lot more on marketing and nurturing and other things. But that way I can make decisions faster because I have the information in my lap. So it's been wild. And this past 6 months, I really focused on building out the sales and marketing team because I didn't realize I actually didn't have that. Had a great product, but I didn't have that. So it's just been I've had to create the things as problems come up, and I realize, we're tapped in this way. We're tapped in that way. Let's go back and reiterate here.
I love that it's so intuitive for you, where to go in the direction. Did you have any hurdles around delegation and getting yourself out of the day-to-day?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm okay, because if you didn't,
no. And even as you're saying this, you're oh, it sounds so nice, and I'm oh no, it's been
also messy. Yeah.
yeah. Oh yes. And like, so like, for example, I had to learn the hard way around some, just like with some marketing things when the market started to get really exciting and really a little bit like people were like, that like Trump was coming into office and all these things, I started to notice that the messaging got really off and it just like wasn't aligned for me. And there were just some things that I had to tweak and adjust, and that a lot of things came back on like different team aspects too. So it was just constantly one of those things of like noticing where it's like, oh, we played really hard. It was really great for a great time around certain things. And then it's like, okay, we have to tweak things.
Yeah.
And some of those tweakings were more painful than others. But either way, it was really important for me to always surround myself. And this is where I'm like, I've brought in the best humans who are great humans. And even as we go through like testing times, it's just how we manage ourselves in the process.
Who you surround yourself with, both team, but also mentorship. And it's like huge. It's such a huge part of business for sure. What do you feel like has been like your biggest lessons you've learned as a person in entrepreneurship?
One of the biggest has been around continuously finding joy in the journey. Continuously. I think working on my relationship to work, and relationship to control has been the two most fascinating things. So especially as bringing on new team members, I constantly had to notice of like, by me bringing them on, first off, I have to spend more time with them as I'm like nurturing them in and getting the tone right and making sure that I can trust them. But it's me also surrendering control to be like, I want autonomy for them to lead. I want autonomy for my own self so that I don't have to manage that. But that means that I actually do have to surrender a little bit more and trust even more, because I do want to build something that's gold. And so dropping control has been a huge practice for me.
Yeah. What was the first thing you said? The dropping control.
Join the journey. So
joy.
My ethic, my work, my relationship to work.
And to talk to me about that.
That's still not perfect by any means. Like that's actually probably what I'm in right now.
Like you're working too much, or you go in phases where you enjoy it and then you don't.
Oh, I enjoy it always. It's the work too much.
Got it.
And that's the other slippery part for me, because I'm like, oh, I love it so much. And it's like, but what else would you like to do with your life? And so there's been a big focus for me of even being like, I'm like 2025, I'm like, the business feels so good and so exciting. But actually for me, the biggest goal is really around relationships and around like love. And so if I don't make space for myself in that space and work just becomes everything, then it's like, have I left space for the magic and what really matters?
Yeah. So it's really creating like the life that has it all. And I think there's so much, I've talked a lot about that with like work. And I think we've kind of gone on this pendulum of like, there used to be a lot of like hustling was praised and being super busy, right? Then I think we swung so far to like soft girl era and you shouldn't work.
Yes.
And like almost like overdid that. And now I think there's like this, we got to find the in between, because I don't know about you, but I also love to work. I think for me, my kids were the gift in creating a reason why I don't work all the time, and like had to create that balance. Otherwise, honestly, if I didn't have my kids, I'd work way more because I love it. It doesn't feel like work. But I've had to like sit with and even talk with mentors about like, I'll create this judgment about it. Like what is the good amount of work and what is the bad? Like when is it too much? And it's like, well, who's to put that label on it? So I think there's this, it's like seasons of life too. And I think I guess what I'm saying is, I think we swung to a point where people made working a lot very bad. I don't know if you feel that, but
yes,
like
absolutely.
For a long time, I questioned, am I doing it too much? And then I'm now at a place of that's for me to decide. And like in some seasons, I might work a lot and then go on a month-long trip with my kids. And it's like, there's no rules around that. But I think if you find something that doesn't feel like work, then it's a matter of, like you said, do I have the space for the other things? And then otherwise, there's no too much. And so I don't know if that makes sense, but I think that ambition kind of got a negative connotation for a while. And it was like, no, you have to be the homesteader, and like, homeschool your kids and don't work. And like that became the spotlight. And I just feel like if I didn't have my business and my ambition is my magic. So I went through this like, wait, there is, this back and forth with it. And at the end of the day, I just think there's no rules. Like we create these rules and we put this pressure on ourselves a lot of times from social media and like what we see without even realizing it. And so that's kind of where I've been, is like, okay, am I present? Am I present enough in the small things? And that's where I measure my success.
So one of my friends, who I'm staying with right now, we've been going so much back and forth with this, but she measures things based off of thank yous, the number of thank yous she gets.
I love that.
So for you, presence, is there anything else that like you ask yourself as little check-ins?
Presence is a big one, because that's a big goal constantly for me, is like, am I being present, fully present with my kids and my family, and then present when I'm doing whatever it is I'm doing. I think like passion and joy and play also would be a measure. I don't know if a measure of success, but a measure of like, I'm aligned. I want to feel that joy. I don't want to be doing the mundane every day, do the same thing. That's not why I started my company. It's like, I don't think we're meant to wake up, do the same thing, go to bed, wake up, do the same thing. So for me, the experiences and the adventure and creating joy in my everyday life is something I work on, right? Like I can become a robot very easily and just like train and work and do it again the next day. And I can thrive doing that. And on the outside, it'll be like, wow, look at Emily, she's doing all these things. It's like, but I don't feel alive. My soul doesn't feel alive. So I will, that's a check-in for me of like how to bring the unknown, how to bring something new, something exciting, something that lights you up into your world. Yeah. What about for you?
Alignments, like you were saying, that's the number one thing I go for. And that was a nice practice of like when exponential growth hit of money for me, that for crypto, really there was a lot of questions that I asked myself during that period. Like I'm like laying in my villa in Bali, where it's like rainy season, just like super high spacious ceilings. Like I just have nothing on the radar for like months. Like nothing is on my calendar, like nothing. And I'm just asking myself really like, why do I still not feel fulfilled? And I went on the quest of being like, what does alignment actually look like to me, and what direction do I move forward with? But I kept going back to, whether it was in Bali or traveling and being with family, it kept going back to what are my values, and like those core values. And core values for me are those, I have 5 that I live by, and I use those as my North Star. So I have freedom, curiosity, connection, growth, and expression. And I find that when any one of those feel out of balance, that's when usually something in my life feels a little off. And I can ask myself, what of these core values are not being fed right now? So I've even recently, I was catching myself and I was like, expression feels a little bit weak right now. And so I joined back into this like writing society that I love. And I'm feeling a little bit more nourished there, but it also feels like this growing edge where I'm like, oh, we're coming back in. And I know that when I take care of that, that will help lift a lot of other things back up. Earlier this summer, it was connection. So I spent 3 months with my family on the East Coast. So yeah, for me, it always goes back to alignment, just to be like, how am I a human that can take care of myself on that end?
Yeah. I mean, your values they should be your North Star. I totally agree. And I do you have like a practice that you regularly follow and check in with those values, or is it more just intuitively when you feel off?
So I'm really not a routine girly. So like when you're like, oh, doing all these things monotonously.
And I'm like, how do we put this into a process?
Yeah, no, I'm like, I am best building things when I am traveling. Like, please so even once everything grew exponentially in February, I exited myself out of the country and I was like, everything's grown, but I'm just going to go to Japan, Bali. And then I spoke at like 2 other conferences in Vegas and Costa Rica. And so I just like slingshot myself out and I was like, we're going to go figure this out. And that's the best solution for me, which has been also, it has felt very contrarian to like the world being like, you must sit down and focus and do these things. But for me, I actually create really well in changing environments because then I don't get emotionally stuck on things. I just keep moving. I figure out the problem, I move, I check in with my people. Like, it works really well for me. So I bring that up because emotions, tuning into my emotions, even as I'm creating different courses or marketing in a different way, if I keep hitting this wall of resistance, like I know that I can get my work done. When I keep hitting an unnecessary amount of resistance, that's a sign of my body emotionally that something is off and I have to stop and ask myself why. So emotions have been like the number one greatest tool for me.
And so using emotions as, let's dig into this and figure out what the meaning is and the block is behind it, but not becoming those emotions, right? Like, because I think there's like a difference there. And sometimes people speak about the body and the emotions, and that's been a very important, like, hot topic for the last several years. Nervous system, trauma, all those things. When I went to Joe Dispenza, it was like a very refreshing perspective on emotions are a great indicator of the block of the resistance to observe versus become the emotion. And it sounds like that's what you're saying, is like you use that as, okay, time to check in, time to see what needs to shift.
Yeah. Like I said, with like dating is like data points. It's like same thing. It feels like emotions are like collecting or storing some data points. Fortunately, this is also where like mentorship for me has been huge and even my mentorship has been like with my sales systems team. Like I have just amazing humans that I can be like, we have this physical problem, but also I have this Whitney leadership problem. And having people to check in with me to be like, hey, maybe you need to like somatically like take yourself for a run and like actually release the emotions and then come back to what things need to happen. So really just having people in my court to be like, let's actually tune in. There's something deeper there. Then I always get the clarity point.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do actually agree with like the traveling. I'm the same. I like the routine when I'm home, and then I need to go travel to have the difference. And the creativity is just like through the roof when I'm traveling. It's like you get out of that day to day. And that's kind of what I'm talking about with feeling alive. Like I need to feel that new experiences. And for me, and I think we must share this, it's like when I travel, it's the most alive I feel, because you're meeting new people, you're seeing new things, you're experiencing the world, which is it's my favorite thing. So before we sat down, I was like, I'd be living the life you're living for sure if I didn't have kids. Like, that's going to be me when I'm like 45 and all my kids are old. I'm going to just travel.
I'm certain of that for
and
you.
And then you'll like have kids. Yeah, we'll swap.
Yeah, we will.
Because that's my plan. Like, I'm going nomadic once all my kids are 18. I love it so much.
And then they'll be able to come with you whenever they please.
Yeah, exactly. For me, freedom is also a core value. And when I travel, it's like, I feel like when I have the freedom of my time and how I spend it. And like, that's what my business creates too, is the ability to be able to do that and have that life. Yeah. Well, did we miss anything? This was such a great conversation. Anything else on your heart that you would like to share?
There's something around freedom that I'm like, I feel like with you, like there's so many core things that we share. Like when you were like joy, play, and like excitement being the strongest feelings. I'm like, yes, me too.
Yeah.
But I think this is just like, I think we're pretty good on this end of just being like both like, if freedom is something you so want, like I've been really obsessed with like, what are the flavors of freedom you want? And like, you can design your life that way of like, okay, if you want this particular life, like flavors are really the only thing I'm like, I talk about like menu of life, like what's on the menu, but like how would you like to experience it? And so just really an invitation for anyone out there, if like there's a different flavor of freedom that you are seeking, like just get clear with that. And you can always reverse engineer back what that looks like. So for some people it is building business, which for me it's been business and it's been investing. I find in the money space, like if freedom is something you want, like you can't really remove the money component from it. Cash flow is super important because you get to invest more in it. But even once you have the money, like what are you doing with it to keep on growing that freedom if that's a core value for you?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so big on that. Like everyone's version of freedom, or I say like you can have it all, but everyone's version of what that looks like is different and how you get there. You know, it's like no one's going to have a blueprint of the way we got to having freedom. Like a million infinite, ways that you can get there and what that looks like. But the main point being, you can have it, you can create it when the moment you decide that that's going to be your reality and you're like all in, which that's your story, is like you quit the job, moved out of the country, took all those actions saying, I'm all in to create this. I don't know how, but I'm all in. The moment you make that decision, it's like, it's done. It will happen. Might take a year, might take 2 years, might take 6 months, and you don't need to know the how.
And it will probably be way longer and way more extravagant than whatever you realize.
You'll start to make progress.
Exactly. And you'll also get to have the point of having fun. Hopefully, if that's an intention.
I mean, falling in love with the process of it too, right? Like for me today, the process and the journey I love. Yeah, sure, getting to a goal, but it's like I'm obsessed with the process and the journey and committed and all in on that, and like surrendering to that and where that takes you is so. Surrender has been a big lesson, right? Of like, this is what I want, what we're saying, defining, you can have this freedom, and what does that look like for you? And then how you get there, there is a lot of surrender in that.
Do you like talk to the process, or has the process like unfolded for you of like how to iterate it so it becomes more enjoyable?
So that the process becomes more enjoyable?
Yeah. Or was that always a focus for you?
What do you mean?
Of just having it be enjoyable.
Like having joy in it?
Yeah.
No, I don't think I intentionally created it. I think that I actually used to be like, everything has to be hard, to be like real. I still have to work to have joy in the process but I enjoy hard work too. Like, so I think for me, I find joy in the little moments of play and creating experiences for myself and connection, something like this. And so, yeah, I think that I'm not like a naturally fun, playful person when I'm in work mode. Like there's some people who are like that and I love being around them. Like there's friends I have even here in Austin who are like, they're just fun when you're around them. I can be fun, but it's like I got to be fully out of work mode sometimes to be fun and in that. But I've worked on that too, of like leaning into that, the child, right, in us, and like the joys. So no, it doesn't come natural because I go into like hardcore, get shit done mode, which I'm great at that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I love it.
That's my MO. Like, and I've learned that's my gift. Like I'm not gonna fight that. So I'm going to, create it in a way that the joy and the play can come in a way that's natural to me, which for me actually comes outside of work a lot. Like when I'm working, it's just like, I want to get shit done. And then I'll go have fun. I'll go travel. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for this conversation. Where should everyone go to be in your world?
Either my website, queenofmillions.com, or Instagram is the best place for me, whitney.magic.crypto.
Yeah, I love following your Instagram.
Thanks.
And you travel so much. I'm always like, oh my gosh, Japan. And
we got another month of Europe coming up.
I will be following.
This was such a pleasure. Thank you, Emily.
Thank you so much.